Hi,
Hello.
hello.
Hi, everybody.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
And good evening in Bangkok,
Bangkok,
Thailand.
Thailand.
Good
Today
evening.
we have a special event we name and call 5,944 miles share. Yeah, it means that we from Bangkok and we have guests from Thailand, and today we also have guests from Scotland, Edinburgh, that we're going to share our experience, and we're going to introduce the crafter from both Thailand and Scotland. Yeah, hi to Carol and Helen from Applied Art Scotland.
Very nice to meet you both.
Yeah.
How are you?
We're good, thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet with you. Even although we're so far away, we can still see your smiling faces.
And it's great that you've set up this opportunity, kind of given, your research trip to come to Scotland, as you've, very much driven this opportunity for us to kind of bring our crafting communities together, which, for us and you kind of go back further. So this is fantastic. So thanks for making it happen, and for this being the first of 4 events. So that's great.
Yeah, and we also have to thank you to you too and Apply Art Scotland to give us the opportunity to doing this event too. Yeah, we have to tell the story. What is this event from? We are 141 social enterprise, and we start from doing the aims for the children play activities, and we start moving to the craft network. And yes, in 2019 we work with Carol and Helen for the craft toolkit. Yeah, and we have craft coaching activity, and since then we planning to go to visit Scotland in the early of 2020 with support from British Council. But sadly, we have to cancel the trip. Yeah, but hopefully we can expand our network from Thailand and Scotland. So this is the first event.
And we work together.
Yeah, and Helen, can you introduce a little bit for Applied Art Scotland?
Yeah, of course. So Applied Art Scotland is it's an organisation, a membership organisation that's run by makers, so craftspeople, designers, artisans, for makers. We cover the whole of Scotland, so we have members from all over Scotland, and they work in lots of different disciplines, communities, individually. And Carol is our chair, so we bow to her. Carol, when were we set up? I'm trying to remember the year we was officially established.
We set up. Applied Art Scotland's been going for more than 30 years now, so it's been running its practice almost as long as I've been running my ceramics. So that's why I know. Yes.
And the important thing for us, particularly relevant to this event, is that we're involved in the British Council Crafting Futures project. So we've been really fortunate to work extensively with communities and designers and groups in Thailand. And we've always forged opportunities to bring, makers together and to have those peer relationships, like you said, through the Craft Toolkit example. So with your invitation to be part of this has just been great.
Yeah, Jay's joy as well. Yeah.
Hi, Jay.
Jay's from a comment from the Facebook Live.
Yeah.
That's great, because Jay is somebody we've been working with for a long time in Thailand. So she's our great friend. It's lovely to have her aboard. And Mancraft too. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
How about we introduce our guests?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Hello.
Please. Yeah. Welcome.
Hello.
Anandra.
Claire.
Hello,
Claire. Hello, Helen. Carol.
Hello.
Together now. Yes.
Yeah, the opportunity today is we would like to introduce to craft Gop from Thailand. She's worked in the community, craft community, and also the sustainable, community. And Claire.
Helen, could you
introduce?
Please?
Of course. So Claire is based in Fife in Scotland, and she is an artist, an illustrator, a designer, an educator. You can see she's in her own studio and has got a huge amount of experience as both an individual and, as I said, with teaching, and is also a former board member of Applied Arts Scotland. So we've benefited very much from Claire's creative experience as well. And she's also a director of Off the Rails Art House, which is a creative space for people to come together in Fife.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah. Since this is our first time, so our will be a little bit,
Would you ask the first question for our guest?
In the first part, we would like you to introduce your work, your experience, and some of your craft part to our audience and me myself. Please. Shall we start from Claire, please?
Yeah. Claire can add some flesh to those bones.
Well, as Helen said, I am an artist, designer, illustrator, and I teach, have taught. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I started in 1985 after I left art school. And my work has just developed over the years into different areas. I have 2 websites because I'm a crazy mixed up kid, and I want to show the 2 different sides of what I do. So actually, I think the easiest way for me to show you what I do is to show you my website, just sort of do a wee bit of website showing. So if I can share with you.
Yes.
I will try my technical skill.
We feel like we're in a very professional studio here that Pat and Com have set up, so we're thoroughly enjoying it and getting to grips with the tech.
We enjoy together.
I think it's new for us. It's certainly new for me. So this is exciting.
Okay, it's working.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, really nice.
So the first, for a very, very long time, I have been producing prints. I'll show you my prints that are on the website. Come on. I produce these prints as these are my craft, really, my selling craft. This is what I do to earn my money. And they start off life as black pieces of board, and I scrape away the white. So these are the illustrations that I create from that. And I've done lots of different places in Britain that I can show you. So this is the kind of my main bread and butter earning. And that's going to take ages. So I'm not going to bother with that. To go back. Sorry. I also do some tea towels, and I do, this is a tea towel design, and cards as well. So I've got lots of different aspects of what I do, they're more design and sort of object based. And then the other side of what I do is exhibition work. And the last exhibition I had was about 4 years ago, and I was looking at, I trained in textiles, but I work in lots of mixed media. It's basically all mixed media that I work with. And I was looking at celebration and how we all use celebration as worldwide as a form of kind of counterbalance to the difficulties we have in the world. And the main part of the exhibition was using that inspiration to make things on springs, which were objects that moved. I'm just going to flick through. That was the whole exhibition, but these are objects I've made, and they sit on a spring, so they all moved, because a lot of celebration has actually got movement or decoration involved in it. And I was using inspiration from all over the world. So this kind of shows the kind of other side of my work. Although I did sell these, but it was really about the ideas behind the subject matter that I was looking at with this particular exhibition. And I was also using found objects. So these are little bits of components, and this is a crushed up bottle top to make a little kind of almost like a little person. And this is what it looks like with the sun hitting it as well. And they all moved. The actual table moved. I had a motor, so the whole thing would move and be celebratory. So, and these are some of the bits and pieces that I use. So I use a lot of found objects in the work as well. So that's really basically the different sides of what I do. And I've been exhibiting for a very, very long time. Is that enough time I've done my 5 minutes? Sorry, I can't keep up. I don't know how much time I've got here. I could go on for hours talking about myself. So, shall I unshare the screen? Is that okay? Is that enough information?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a tantalizing amount, Claire. We all want to look at your website now and find out more.
I love the found object idea.
Yeah.
So, let's switch to Gok. Please.
People Forest.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's such a pleasure to see the work, and we had something that's very connect. So this time I didn't prepare, but since I'm graduate from the arts and design, from the KMITL, that's a 141 SE. So we from the same institute. Yeah. King Mongkol Phra Jom Kau จ้าคุณฐานลาดกระบัง. Yeah, in Thailand. Yeah, and I had the skill of the illustration and do the mixed media. And the passion that I love is taking photos and work in the dark room. And I have some work that I collect the junk whenever I walk, and then I found it to share. So let me share my background, and I think we so connect, and the nature is the key. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. Let's try the technology, that's connect us from far away. We now facing each other. Okay.
You're getting love in the chat, Cobb. An amazing artist, says Jay.
Thank you. So everyone see the colorful taste of life?
Yes.
Yeah, this one is my found object from the straw, and the toffee wrapping, the paper.
Wow.
And something that people throw away, and I collect the dry leaf, and I make the circle of life. Yeah, so this is a major of as an illustrator for a living when I graduate from the school. So I connect with something like myth and symbol, and then I love to note my dream. So I use the found object and create the story. And then the photos in the abandoned building combined with something. Yeah, and take people to the dream or something that's myth and symbol. Yeah, so the key that I found. Yeah, and so this is the beginning. And I think maybe the part of the nature, the nature and the seasons is connect us. So after graduate, I had a small. Can you see the my co-partner People Forest? Yeah. So before the People Forest happened, it's the gathering of the small people in the urban in Bangkok, and I'm a small part of the co-founder of Big Trees Project. So Big Trees Project is working for the awareness of the people who look after the trees, or how we develop the city with the building and with the convenience things and with trees. So this part is connect me to the forest. When I would say like my CEO is the forest, like what we learn mostly like from the field. It's not from the class that we have to sit together, but we have to work together in the space that we call nature. So this is all like my life wisdom. So the People Forest happened like 5 years ago. Yeah, and about the craft, yeah, easy like found object that we eat together. The product that we found together on like they use for their everyday life. So when I wisdom and I have direct experience from them, instead of them make their own things to use in everyday life, I try to connect the nature to the public, for the user, for the people, by ask them like, why don't you use your resource instead of using like when they wear the clothes, when they use the when they use their own costume and have the color of they had to spend many hours to get the colors for them to make the craft. So for me, like People Forest is like a nature connector, to ask them, look for do the color hunting in their own village. So we look for the color together.
Is that drying? Is that drying the yarn?
Yeah, it's the yarn, and also not only the yarn, it's like the dyes, like colored dyes, like from the bark, from the leaf, from the flower. So instead of having their own supply to make the craft from the store, but they turn their back to their own forest and find out their own color based on their geography and ecological. Yeah, and it's connect with the reforestation. So this is part of the work that People Forest try to connect everyone with the nature, because we are environment.
I love all her bamboo utensil. She also have all the bamboo utensil for like glasses, plate,
Fork and spoon.
fork and spoon.
Chopstick.
Yeah.
A live demonstration.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just imagining the two working together, Claire. I think you could the collaboration.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay. This is the first introductions. Yeah, come to
let Carol or Helen ask the next question, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to do it, Carol, or?
Yeah, I'll go. Yes. So guys, it's so good to have you share with us. And one of the reasons we really wanted you to come and chat to everybody was to share what you've been finding during the pandemic. What's been your experience? And what have you found that has been, a kind of maybe a crazy unexpected benefit to this new way of working, where we're all in isolation, but we're also connected through the internet. So can we start with you, Claire? Could you tell us a bit more about your experience during the pandemic and during lockdown?
Yeah, okay. Well, when I was thinking about this, the words that I would use to describe how it was sort of at the beginning of the pandemic, where fear, anxiety, sadness, and generally being unsettled. And during our first lockdown in March last year, all my coping mechanisms in my life had been whipped away from me. And that really created the fear and anxiety. And it became very focused on a pain I have in my ankles, because I've got osteoarthritis in my ankles. And I had to create new coping mechanisms through exercise and doing mind-body pain management. All my income disappeared, no sales from my website, no orders online, wholesale orders. All my teaching was cancelled, and suddenly there was this big void in my working life. There was nothing to do. And so gradually getting used to all of that, new words to describe how I felt sort of started to come in. And those words were gratitude, reflection, enjoying a slower pace, awareness that my lockdown was a lot easier because I live in the country and I felt safe. And I loved not having to make decisions about things. But I was also aware that I didn't have to do things for other people either, so I spent a few weeks making scrubs and masks for the health workers in our local hospital, NHS hospital. And it was really good to be able to help in a small way when these amazing doctors and nurses were coping with a really horrendous situation. And so I got my sewing machine out and made these scrubs, which I haven't sewn for quite a long time, proper sewing. And I had to follow proper instructions, which I felt was really, really difficult because I'm really slapdash and don't work like that. So I had to be really strict and follow the instructions, but I did it. And the only other thing that I've been working on that directly benefits other people is helping run Off the Rails Art House, which is our local art hub. We run workshops and have exhibitions there. And we kept going, not by running anything like that, but we offered the individual artists from anywhere that could get there to use the space for their own workshop for any time they wanted to do that. And so that worked really well, and a lot of people really, really valued that. But this weekend we are having our first workshop in 18 months, and it's amazing. Somebody's coming to teach. It's going to be fantastic. So, but the main thing for me was I had time to think, and the restraints of the lockdown gave me time to work on a project that I'd been mulling over for a year or two. And I spent a couple of months writing an application for funding, which I got. And the project is called Almost a Word, Almost a Map. And it's a total research project exploring the language and representation of borders, of pain and trauma, resilience and recovery. And this came from various different sources. The theme, it's looking at maps and words, and that they're very powerful forms of communication and narrative. They are multi-layered and they can convey meaning, making sense of the world, but they can also be sources of conflict, manipulation, distortion, and division. And this directly connects to the unsettling nature of this pandemic. And I think that's why it became so sort of important to be doing this now. And the current, all our current affairs, whether they're British current affairs or global. and also to my own personal experience, which I hadn't really realised had such an impact on me, is living in Northern Ireland during the Troubles in the 60s and 70s. With this research, I've been looking at lots of different aspects of things. I've looked at British imperialism, maps of Scotland and Ireland, looking at trauma and pain, intergenerational trauma, peace groups, climate crisis, the role of mind and body, you know, and it's all big, juicy stuff. And it's going to take a long time to untangle it and use it in my work, but I have started. And I noticed during the research that in any conflict, the numbers of deaths and injured people are acknowledged, but those who are left behind to survive and pick up the pieces and carry on, those who are traumatized, they're not recognised. And so some of the work I've been working on from that, I think I maybe just show you now some of this work, this is the beginning of it, how I'm kind of visualising this. So I will show you now. Wait a minute, I need to share again.
Please.
Yes, please.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So these are some of the words I've been looking at and working with, and this is on my website at the moment, but these are, this is the stuff, but these are some of my sketchbook pages. So I was looking at x-rays of my feet, because they were also, you know, there's lots of relationships between the pain I'm going through, but also the pain that the world's going through as well. So these are some of my sort of initial thoughts and things, and then these next ones are actually of the remnants, the paper remnants of these words that become a bit confused. You're not quite sure what you're looking at. You're not quite sure what these words say, which I think is what we're all dealing with a lot of the time. Looking at how to use sort of photography in this as well, and looking at scale as well, looking at making them much bigger. This is, and then again, this one is just making them very sort of, become much more abstract, almost, yeah, I don't know what they are really. And then that's another sketchbook page, and that's my studio. So that sort of shows you what I've been looking at.
Wow.
So I'm not sure, you know, the pieces that are left behind and everything, they've become the focus, but I'm not quite sure where this is going to take me. I'm going to do some laser cutting soon, which is very new to me, and I hope to exhibit next year, a work in progress. So I don't really know what's going to come out of it, but I would say the biggest change for me has been a massive personal shift in my awareness. And although on one level I've been aware of global conflict and white privilege and climate crisis and governmental corruption and the catastrophe this creates, but I haven't emotionally engaged with it until now. And I think the pandemic has given me a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But I also actually think it's maybe a global wake-up call. You know, we're not going to get away with not listening to this anymore. Mm-hmm. And for me, my default position in the past has been, or as you could see before, was to work in a very joyful, positive subject matter, you know, with the object of celebration. And I think this was possibly a coping mechanism to protect me from my buried childhood trauma myself. And the challenge will be to create work which can integrate the serious message with a positive, hopeful message for the future, which everyone can relate to. Because I don't want this to be self-indulgent. I don't want it to be just about my life. It's actually about all of us and how we live on this planet in a positive and sustainable way, really. So that's me. I don't know if that's... There you go.
It's my pleasure to hear that all from you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Claire, because it's brave. You're being very brave in sharing these very deep emotions, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been tough. The winter was really tough. you know, because it was dark and miserable, and I was reading all about hideous, miserable stuff. But it's been amazing as well. It's been amazing, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing. Cobb, you're nodding and shaking your head. I think that's been quite emotional for all of us to listen to Claire, hasn't it? Can you tell us a bit about your experience?
Thank you for sharing. It's very touching, and I can see the power of collaboration. You know, even like we had the distance, but the global warning, they send us the message, and something need to be, you know, go in a balance. What is the balance? What is the harmony? What is right and what is good for every breath and everyone. Yeah. Thank you for having this moment that's even, we so far away, but somehow I think it's very soulful. Yeah. From art, it's the art. I saw my good friends from the same school. We study arts together. She's writing to your work, it's very beautiful. So it doesn't need the language. And this is like in this year, this is my second time speak English, so art doesn't need.
Wow.
Yeah, the comment is, yeah.
Yeah, let me share that from People Forest. We did something, I think we did something from I think I lost I would like to share about the plum trees.
Yeah, the plum tree.
Yeah.
Cobb, can you give us an idea of where the forest is, like just geographically? Because I'm trying to picture it. Just maybe this is my own question, or for our viewers who are outside of Thailand.
Okay. I share a bit here.
Oh, thank you.
Before we write to the point, let's let the nature talk. Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned about the forest. So this is a part of the forest.
In which part of Thailand, Kako?
This one is in Chiang Mai. Yeah, this is in Chiang Mai. But if I take you further, let's go further. It's like 900 kilometers from Bangkok to Mae Hong Son. This Chiang Dao. I switch the. Let me use some searching.
I'm sorry, Cobb, if I've distracted you.
Because Cobb do many projects in many parts of both in North and also in, I think in Northeast.
Northeast.
Yeah, in many places. Like the forest. Yeah. Good question. Some part is like a mangrove forest. And some, hold on.
Many village.
Let me take you to this one, the beginning of the journey. I learned a lot from the forest that have giant trees, like over 100 years old, or like 1,000 years old in the forest. Let me see the geography. It's like thousands of image here. This is when we found the big trees, we collect the seeds. We try to find out what's the name, and Yeah, too many.
Too many image and too many work.
Yeah, because like before the pandemic happens, my daily life is like nature traveling. So each week, sometimes to province at least, or like spend a whole week in the forest with the kids, with the communities, and work together. Yeah.
So in terms of the pandemic and People Forest, is that you know your travel's restricted, but also you've got insights into different communities across the whole country in terms of how things have impacted.
Yeah. So this like a good question. So this one is like the work field is in the forest. This is the forest in Chiang Mai, and this is in Chiang Dao, like Doi Luang, that's have the big fire happen. So the big impact is, I think, it's like even like people around Thailand, when some kind of like a disaster happen, we manage to for the fundraising together and support each other. Like we use most like social media and then update the story, what happened, what we need for help, and some do like the matching. Yeah. Let's skip some forest, but this is some like atmosphere here. But yeah, since we had to share about the what's we need to adjust, and small people like us, how we adapt ourselves and get together in the new platform. Yeah, so this is the activities that before the pandemic happened. Like we had the markets, that's one for one joy, and many farmers and craft maker join the event. So I share, it's like the outdoor event, and many people love to come and spend time and do like networking and sharing the story, share the life wisdom that's from around the world, like around Thailand, and also we has a lot Bangkok, like we has a lot of expat. So we got a good customer who buy our own stuff, like from the forest, like from the jungle, and the stories, from deep forest. It's the peoples in the city, they have more connection and they feel like they love the small market that doesn't need like the big building. And yeah, we had some like the rhythm of the pandemic is like start from 10, 100,000, and now it's 10,000 for a day. So the product is adjust it's themselves, like a natural color, or the product from nature, like natural color. It's became the product for everyday use, like the mask, like the glove or the cloth. That's we need it more like simple. Yeah. So this is before the like during the pandemic that we have sometimes that we can come and enjoy the outdoor when it's in a good time. So this is the customer, and we became friends. And some activities of People Forest, we took the kids to experience the forest by themselves instead of having parents holding them, but let them walk freely and learn, but with the awareness. So this is some kind of the forest in Khao Yai, not far from Bangkok. And the trip is not for only the children, but for the family growing together. So yeah, and the nature connectors, we take turn and we divided the group of we can create some activities and do like nature bathing and share the story, doing the play, or Yeah, this is some of the textures of the lichen. Okay, and let's jump to the now. What's happened? Like people forest try to connect, the people and the nature, but now people forest have to connect with the others, like farmers, fisher folks, and we set up the date and the time, and the space have to be outdoor. Sometimes we had the event in the building, but now we had to adjust and find the ventilate, like the right space. So when Claire mentioned about the global warming, like the big factory and the density of the populations is need to be changed and adjust. So when we get together like this, it have to be reduced like maybe 5 times smaller in a group. And we did the farm sharing, like we set up the date, the time that people, when the big market is closed, like they're not allowed like 1,000 or 1,000,000 tons of the fruits and the product and the food. It's couldn't delivery. So we get together in a small group and try to have like pre-order and come and pick up. So this is like what we learned from making craft. When we make craft, but now we have to make like the craft of living and the craft that's transferred to the food, the medicine, the herb, and the space, the living and the home. Yeah, and for sure, like craft is in everything. And part of that's like used to share about the plum trees. That's they're going to cut the plum trees, and when people get together, small people get together and then make the order. So instead of they cutting the trees, the hill tribe, they keep the plum trees because they can make their own living. And this time it's continued to be the 3rd year. And 1 has the market, and then we get together and then ordering the plums in big amount instead of small amount. So small group of people get together and then it's support each other. And another part that we involve, like it's not the craft product, but I think it's craft of life. People need the supply. And this is like the organic food that the farmer know that we order it to give to the community that's the lack of living. Like they don't have the budget, they couldn't make the living because they the labor for like each day. So they don't have the budget. So they send the fruits or they send something that they can use and give it to each communities around Bangkok. Yeah, so this part is like, I think it's like when we believe in the power of collaboration and we respect the nature and we listen and we adjust. So some kind of the movements, it's keep happening in a small group of people and doing something together. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great message.
Wow.
And I love I think Jay says as well, I love the connection between craft and food. It's all part of slow movement and doing things with your hands and being patient, isn't it?
Yeah. I think now we become a supporter to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
The craft.
Yeah. Because you talked about food in your blog as well, Claire. Do you think, if we think about what we're all going to do differently going forward, what we could do to make the future better, is there something about food that we need to think about? You had a different way of looking at food, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I think I was starting to shop locally. I also was growing more. I've been growing more of my own food, but we can only do that in the summer, really, and just thinking about where the food comes from as well. I think but I think almost these things are, when we have to change what we're doing, but I think also the big multinationals have to change what they're doing more, and the government have to change more as well, because we're tiny. But I mean, we will drive some of it, but I think it's a collaboration with the big guys as well, you know. But yeah, I think well, that was the initial kind of like, where are we going to get the food from? You know, because everything, we couldn't go anywhere. Oh, and once that had kind of, we'd worked that out, I felt a wee bit better. But you know, I am very aware that, you know, we're privileged, and if you're living somewhere where you're still having to go work and you become ill or you can't get the food, you know, it's very different. You know, just because I can't get some tomatoes in January doesn't, you know, it's not that big a thing for me, you know. So I don't know if that's answered the question. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think we always need to think about food differently. Mm-hmm. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, shall we move to the
last question?
The third part. Yeah, Helen, please.
Yeah, so, well, I think we've started already to think about, you know, what's going to be different. What are the changes that either both of you, you know, are thinking about making, or that you're observing maybe that others or people in your, you know, kind of making community, your creative community, your local community. What do we do differently going forward, or what do we keep a hold of because actually we've shifted our behavior or shifted our priorities or our principles? Claire, I'll come to you.
I suppose it's a really difficult one, because I suppose on one level I've stopped buying so much. I don't buy so much, but then I've got a lot of stuff anyway, so I don't need to buy so much. I also feel that if you're making work, it should be either useful, beautiful, or have some kind of message, or a combination of all of that. And we've got big things to think about. We've got to think about our climate and our climate crisis. We've got to think about inequality and how we live in the world. And these are really the most important things to think about. But if you're a maker, a crafts person, or an artist, or whatever, you still need to make a living. So how do you say to us all, well, you can't make anything else, you know, how do you make stuff that doesn't clutter up the world, you know? So maybe it's about being aware of the resources we're using, and our materials, are they sustainable? Do we really need it? Can I do something do it in a different way? Maybe do it. I don't really. I'm a bit flummoxed by it, really. I'm not sure, but I think we absolutely have to think about our environmental impact on the planet.
And I think one of the observations I have of, you know, makers, particularly, you know, kind of in Scotland, is those that, you know, maybe before the pandemic already had started to think about those, you know, sustainability, you know, supply chains, resources. You know, they had they were thinking about those responsibly, you know, for their own practice, for their business, for the planet, you know, for people, etc. So they were able to either, you know, have a level of stability, or they were able to adapt very quickly. And Cobb, like you were saying with the, you know, with the food, you know, there was a definite feeling here, both as an individual, but in a maker community, of people, you know, there was an ecology of people that were coming together to adapt because they could see that there was a chain that needed to be upheld. We need to keep that going. And I think that's definitely shifted some of our systems and our thinking around how we do this together. So Cobb, I don't know, what do you think will be different from a, kind of going forward? What needs to change?
I think going forward is, is like maybe step back. Yeah, the way that's something that's too much. You have to, just instead of walking in the, forward, but somehow you have to look back. And or when Claire share, I think about the word that's circular living. Like it's not only like where we get the food, but how we plant the food and how we manage the food, like food loss, food waste, like how we, make it like in a complete circle. That's, in the name of like human being can manage. Yeah. Yeah, like we don't need to buy much, but for me, I buy a lot of like the food that's being supplies because I normally like I travel a lot, so I live in the forest and the shop like the supermarket is from the trees, from the products from the forest, from the rice field that we work together and then we get the rice and then we keep it for we like circulate the supply and resource in the like humble way that's human being can handle and enjoy the simple of life. Yeah. So this part is like if you can plant, you plant. If you can support others who's had the supplies, or if if you the artist, if we are the like nature connectors, we keep continue doing our job. If you are government, you have to do your own duty. You the doctors, the nurse, or like we are human, and if we know what's the right job for us, that we had to breathe in and breathe out in every seconds. If we know our role from nature, I think we will bring the right thing all together.
And I think that's something that both of you have actually said throughout the course of this. And when we met yesterday, is you've actively contributed to making change elsewhere. You've, like you say, Cobb, you talked about kind of like, well, let's try and make this food supply system work. And Claire, you were actively making, the clothes for the nurses and the doctors. You felt that was something that you could kind of give and put into the system or into place to make that happen. Do you think you'll take more of those things forward about like effect, being part of an effective change, being part of that, our humanity's approach to shifting thing, we can all do our little part.
Yeah, the little part.
Yeah. I think we have to. I'm not sure how. I think it's just being aware of it and so taking the opportunity to do it when you can.
Pat and Com, like, is there anything you want to add from your point of view in terms of your work and, because you're very centered in your community as well in terms of, what you think would be different going forward?
Yes, actually, we did the rest fund for making
The
masks.
children. For children. We make only for children.
Last year. And we got the funding to make like 50,000 pieces of cloth mask for
that was the big project that we been giving masks for all children in the border in 5 provinces, Myanmar border. Yeah, but now the situation is going worse over there, and I think we all of us found that we have to change, and we already changed. As I like when Claire said that we all do the small part.
We
I feel that we don't want to do something big or too big for us. We just realize what we can do and we adapted to do and adapted to change. And the most important thing is we have to be conscious what we are doing. So we strongly doing in very understanding what will reflect to others or what will happen next. Yeah, like to support community. Now we buy food. We are lucky, so lucky because we are school community. We have supply to come to our area, so we don't run out of anything. But to support the farmer, like now the farmer have problem, they cannot get their supply into some area, and many fruit and food cannot. Yeah. So if we can be able to order and bring to our areas and distribute to our neighbor, we will do happy to do that directly.
Yeah.
So doing at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, it's easy to feel a bit overwhelmed by so much work that needs to be done and so much but actually if we can just do a little bit, like we've been saying, you feel that you can make a contribution and you can do something to help. Yeah.
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit grows to bit by bit. Yes.
The other thing I think is really important actually is the one thing that we all contribute as craft people, artists, whatever, designers, whatever, is to make people happy. You know, if we do contribute things by making people happy. I have a friend who's a lawyer and I was saying, oh, I do this, it's a bit self-indulgent what I do. And he said, no, you're doing it for the rest of us. And, you know, we create things for other people. We're creating, you know, you create environments, you create opportunities, collaborations, connections. We all do that for other people. And that's so valuable. And that makes us makes us all better people and better society, you know. So I think we mustn't underestimate what we make and how we make it impacts on the rest of the world. So.
Yeah, agree. And the key is like when we make people happy, I think the core is like you have to be happy, and you have to look after yourself, and you have to like do like a sustainable self. And then when you had, you know, when we had all the ingredient that you can make the people's and transfer the happiness energy to others. Yeah, that's like it's. Yeah.
I feel like we all need to be in a room with Claire's pieces kind of shivering and giving us the joy with all the people that Cobb showed us in her photographs from the forest, because they were just beautiful smiles and happy and all that color. And, you know, one day, and I think, you know, going forwards is like cherishing every moment that you're in other people's company, that you value, you appreciate, and you feed, you know, you kind of nourish yourself from that is just feels like it could be in reach. maybe
Yeah, indeed.
And I think all the message craft maker can also send message, powerful message and story concerning things.
And things that we do with these, you know, the making that we all share, the language of making and making food or making craft. I like that, making connections, making a difference, making people happy. Those are great things to be proud of, aren't they? I have to say, I feel much better having had this conversation and listening to you guys. now.
Let's do it again.
Yes.
We will.
It's been lovely. It's been lovely to meet you all. It's been really lovely, really special.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can
Thank
tell
you
why
so
we want to keep in touch with all our lovely Thai friends, whatever it
I
takes.
know. Yeah, thank you for sharing them.
Yeah, thank you
It was
for
a good
sharing us
time
too.
today for this session today.
Yeah.
It's the first time for us. It's very amazing to hear both of you, and the situation in Bangkok now is not quite good, but we feel happy to have friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
5,944 miles away.
Yes. No distance at all. No distance. Fantastic.
And so, could you have a comment making
In the making. Yeah.
Yes. I want to see what Claire and Cobb can make together. I think that would be amazing.
We had those skills, how to find like the found objects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would love to do that.
By the way, I loved your illustrations as well. They're absolutely beautiful. Absolutely
Thank you so
beautiful.
Fantastic.
So yes, I would love that.
Collaboration coming on.
Yes. Wow. Exciting.
Thank you for everyone to join this event together.
Yeah, we're looking forward for our second.
Yeah. What's the date again for the next one? Just to make sure everybody comes along.
It's going to be
It's the 11th of August.
yeah.
And we
11th
have
of August.
It Takes Two to Tango. And we have Joe Garner.
Fantastic.
Oh, good.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's all come back for another one in a few weeks. Be grand.
Yeah,
Exciting
please
to connect again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all for tonight.
Not tonight.
Have a good day.
Thank you generally.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's been
Carol.
wonderful.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Till next time. Bye.
See you.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ